Do you guys see my screen and the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's dive into this. So today is the first week of the month, and the first week of the month is about the general, all the tracks, and also to catch up between us. But so the welcome everyone. And also I will just quickly say, remind ourselves where we are in our data value chain, because we're trying to follow that as a strategy. After that, we will announce we've been testing with Eli a new conference system so that we can have more flexibility. So probably we will tell you just 2 minutes about it. And then we're going to do one last, I'm going to share with you one last step about database, but why we use PostgreSQL, especially for our vision of handling JSONB and vectorial data, so that you guys also can use it with your own clients and your own market. You will often get a question, why PostgreSQL, why not Oracle, why not Microsoft SQL, and so on. So then at least at the business level and semi-technical level, we will have some answers. Then we will do together a quick summary of what we covered with the data track so far, and then again what we covered with the cost track so far. And I'd like to take your questions and answers on what could we do better and what can we cover in the next sessions. And then maybe we'll leave another 10, 15, 20 minutes for those who have time for a little bit more questions and answers. So I'll go to my academic mode, Eli. So please stop me if there is anything. So in our data value chain, we've done the database schema, and thank you guys for your patience. I think Ryan and with many of you guys, we've been down, you call it the rabbit hole? You follow Alice into the rabbit hole? And we're kind of reaching the bottom. So we can go back up and finish our schema, but sorry for bringing you around. It was kind of a detour. But I think for us, especially as business people, it is worth taking that time and challenging ourselves on how we see our data, how we structure it, so that we better do the mistakes right now instead of after we build our systems. So we've done that. I think many of us are coming to a good level of maturity. And then last week we did, for the cost track, we did the cost analysis, the tech stack analysis. Sorry, the week before we did scoring the sources for scrapping. So how we find sources, directories. Eli, we covered many on that. That's what we did last time. Last week we did about costs, but we will cover it there. So in our data value chain, we've covered the data structure. We worked on the sources. Now we will start this month a more practical approach. So I wanted to thank you for being patient with the boring theory knowledge. It's going to get more and more hands-on, and especially we want to show you now how to use RTILA to do stuff. So we will start this month working on this point 3, which is scrape data. So, and then we will work on the files, and then from the files we will work on the web scrapers, and then we will start working on where we put the data, CSV file, Google Sheet, and then as we go in time, directors PostgreSQL, we go along our curve. So that's where we are right now, and thank you for hanging on. This is still the beginning of a journey, and I think the rewards for all of you guys and us will start to appear when we are at the point 5. Point 5 is where you start to be happy to look at your hard work, because the data start to be enriched and you start to get like a better view on how you can monetize it. But until then, bear with us. We're doing the hard, heavy lifting jobs. So that's for where we are. Then the second point was we're going to use a new conference system. We may use another one, but for now we started testing this AppSumo deal that we got called Business Hangouts. It was renamed. So you may guys receive a new link for our meeting. Just please, if it asks you to register or to confirm something, just please go through it and it shall replace our Google Meet link. And if you have any questions or any problem, please email us to support@rtila.com in case you didn't receive it, let's say by mid next week. Eli, anything maybe I could add, or are we good on this point?
No, we're good on this. It should be much more robust
for us to use, and that's why we're switching over.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. And now the next point is PostgreSQL, and we're going to talk about the vectors and JSONB. I don't know if it's big enough. Can you read, Eli, on your side? Is this readable for you?
Yeah, it is for me. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Maybe if
it's fine for me too.
It's fine? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we often get the question, so not many business people and even actually developers know about the JSONB format. So we all hear about JSON, the regular JSON, but not so many people know about JSONB. So in the next slide, we will share why JSONB and especially in our context, why it's important. But right now, I just wanted to cover with you guys which databases actually support JSONB. And surprisingly, the only database that supports JSONB natively is PostgreSQL or PostgreSQL, as we say in French. And even the big databases like Oracle and SQL Server, unfortunately they support regular JSON, at least partially for SQLite, but the others, they support JSON, but they do not support JSONB. And I know that a lot of clients have enterprise apps or their databases with Oracle or Amazon servers or Azure servers, and then they want to stay in there. And we have to tell them, you can keep the metadata there, the classic data, but if you want to benefit from JSONB, and you will see later also vectorial data, these, let's call them established databases, are actually losing relevance unless we have to buy or install some other tools on top of them, which are the expenses. So I wanted to highlight this very simple point that you guys can keep in mind. At the moment, only PostgreSQL has a native JSONB support. It's not activated immediately, but we will show you guys. There is a small SQL function we will share with you that can convert, yeah, I can zoom, of course, that can convert, sorry, I'm gonna first put it in play mode, or how we call it, slideshow. Then we can see better. Yeah. Ryan, is that better? Yeah. Okay, Ryan. I think that's the big we can do. Let's try. So I was saying yes. So
Great.
excellent. So it's one of the only databases, especially that is free and open source, where we can really benefit from JSONB, and that's why we locked on PostgreSQL. So that we can have one set of learning and one set of infrastructure for our program and our customers. So you may be engaged in these discussions, especially with established ERP systems or other data systems. Now let's look at the second slide, where we want to highlight why JSONB, because it can be very easily underestimated. Especially people think that whatever JSONB can do, JSON can do it. But actually, they are quite different. Even though there is only one letter difference, the B stands for binary. So that's the main difference, is that the storage format, it goes from text to binary. Now, for us as humans, this looks like counterintuitive. It's like we're not gaining from it because actually the data is scrambled. Instead of us seeing text that we can read, the JSONB, we can't read it. It will be 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, and a lot of binary data. So that's why at first it doesn't look appealing, because we lose that initial visual recognition. But there are so many other things that are important. First is that because it's a binary format, you guys remember the sparsity? We covered sparsity, that we don't code zeros, and there are so many other things that they do, including indexing the data, but it's smaller, faster, and you can store so much more data. But also, most importantly for us, it's that it's the ideal format for AI and automation. We can build a schema inside one field. So let's say you have a field, you call it blob JSON. Inside blob JSON, you can put the equivalent of 20 database fields and structure them. So it's called semi-structured data, not fully structured. And it has a flexible schema because we can modify the schema inside one field. So it's very powerful. As we go, guys, you will benefit from it. But these are the main reason why it's so important for us, as we are using more and more AI So we need to get ready for our database structure. And then you have here, you can go one by one if you want. You can Google this. I use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is very good at doing comparisons on what on what we cover. So it's faster for reading. In terms of writing, it is a little bit slower, but not really a big problem. Now, this is very important, the indexing support. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with indexing, but when data is written in tables, in databases, if you don't index your data, meaning that you create some kind of semantic shortcodes, so that the day that you want to find the data in some location, it's like a librarian has the full list of books, but then she may have a small. Sorry, I need to do this. This is probably the last time I have to do it. I have to stop and admit. Kim, and can I do this here? Unfortunately, I have to stop presenting. And let's go bring in Kim here, admit. Kim.
So would it be fair to say it's like a register?
Exactly, it's like a register. It's like it provides you with a short register to find the data faster and more accurately. And there are different types of indexing techniques or format. We may use GIN, B-tree, or JSON path. We can cover them later on. But this is very powerful, especially when we start to have a lot of data. And Ryan, that will be your case. You're going to have a lot of data over different tables, different entities. And once you have a lot of users and a lot of data, if you don't have indexing, then your query has to really go through every table and every row to find something. It doesn't have any shortcut to go straight to the data. So that's very powerful for us as we grow our databases. So there is an order. When you do JSON, there is like not chronographic, but like there is an order into things. But JSONB can work with semi-structures, so it can jump into the third element because the third element has our data. So it doesn't rely on a hierarchical order. And then there's some technical stuff that we can cover later. But both of them are queryable, and both of them you can run functions on them. And you can see here the best use case for JSON. So we use JSON for like logs, when you want to record things that are happening, error logs or IoT, when you have sensors. You may want to keep the sensors data as a regular JSON. But when it comes to filtering, indexing, and structured querying of semi-structured data, that's where JSONB is much better. So I hope you get a little bit the point, but if you have any question, please let me know, just to simplify
I do have
it.
a question.
Yes, please.
Are you sharing your screen? Because I'm not seeing.
Oh, I am not after I moved. Thank you, and please don't hesitate to remind me.
And I was wondering why the other two are just, kind of following something on the screen.
They're quiet.
Why are they not saying anything?
Okay, sorry. So I was talking about this slide. So the indexing support is here, GIN, B-tree, and JSON path. And then the last point, I was saying the best use case, JSONB is very good for filtering, indexing, and working around all our data, even though it's like packed into one field. So welcome, Kim. I hope you're doing well. And if you guys have any question, just let me know. If not, I can move to the next slide. Is okay for JSONB?
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, is this a functionally different form of indexing versus optimizing for search engine optimization? Are those two things related, or are these completely different animals?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. How you call it? It's the same principles that they use for indexing. So Google search for SEO, when they store the data in their own database, they must have some kind of their own indexing in their own database. But what they call search engine indexing for us, when they crawl our website, it means something different. So here in our context, we're talking about your database, Ryan, your PostgreSQL database, indexing all the tables and all the rows of data. So giving them some kind of short code reference that can guide a query to go straight or faster to the data that we are looking for. That's the idea or the benefit of indexing, because you can just store data and not index it. Like if let's say you only have 100 rows, 1,000 rows, you don't need to index it. You will get the response very fast. But when you start to have 1,000,000 rows, you better have indexing. And that plays on your user interface, because if your user has to wait 5-10 seconds before a simple query can pop up, they will lose motivation to stay on your website. But beside that, JSONB, we will be using it a lot, especially when we scrape data and we don't know yet where to put it. So we don't have a field for it in our database. We know that we may use it later. So let's say I find there is a school information and friendships and some data that I have about my customer table, but I don't have the fields, but I'm scrapping. I don't want to lose it. So I take it. We will send it to the local AI model, Llama 3 or even ChatGPT, structure it into semi-structured data with JSONB, and then save it in my PostgreSQL. It will take very small space, and I can query it and go back to it later on. That's the main advantage of JSONB. It's a very good intermediary storage of semi-structured data. Okay, let's move to the next point of the database about the vector, and I think more and more of you are seeing the potential, and it's very exciting because we are probably among the early adopters of vectorial data in let's say in our own business systems. So vectorial data is also a binary format that carries semantics beyond the text content. That's a little bit the definition for us. And again here, when I was doing the research on which databases in the market can support vectorial data in a native way, and actually there is only PostgreSQL that does that again, and that's again a very strong point. So with PostgreSQL, we always install pgvector, which is a free extension. PostgreSQL is free and pgvector is free, and immediately you have native support for vectorial data. And it does similarity search, and it's free to use. Those are the comparison points as well. And even for those that are paid, like Oracle and SQL Server, even though you pay for it, but you still have a hard time to get access to vectorial data fields. So only the Express license, and that will cost quite a lot more. But beside that, also they don't have similarity search. So similarity search, if I try to summarize it in a very easy way, let's say you have 100 minutes of meetings in your database that have been vectorized, and then you want to chat with your documents and you want to say, find me the minutes of meeting of company ABC where Mohammed said something about this thing. So that will do a similarity search, because the minutes, the documents minutes, they all look alike. But then that concept that I said, look for Mohammed when he was talking about booking a hotel. The concept of booking a hotel, the AI will be able to make some sort of similarity search with the vectorial data and say, this talks about taking an appointment or booking, or that's what it will do, and say this document is the most likely candidate. So that's a little bit in a very rudimental way. There is also what we call cosine search. We can dive into this later when we go into the vectorial data. But at the moment, it was just really to highlight that PostgreSQL offers so much that we could not pass on it, and that's why we chose PostgreSQL for these very reasons. And one of the things that people say, enterprise clients or enterprise provider may say, is that yeah, PostgreSQL is open source and is free and is not as robust, is not scalable. That's actually not very true, because the hardware has to be configured in a certain way, and a software layer also has to be configured in a certain way. PostgreSQL is totally scalable, and I will show you where it comes short and what we have as a solution when it comes to vectorial data. But I believe you guys are more and more familiar now with vectorial data, but if you have any question, please stop me. So if we want now to talk about scaling the vectorial data, not the text data, then we may hit how you call it, a cap with PostgreSQL is that PostgreSQL is sort of dealing with vectorial data, but not so much of it. It can absorb up to 500,000 vectors. So 500,000 vectors, it's already not bad, 500,000 vectors. But now if let's say you have 1 million users and you create a vectorial field for each one of them, PostgreSQL will start to slow down. So when do you keep PostgreSQL vectorial data? Is like, let's say you're using it for your own self, your own ERP system or document management system. And maximum in your company lifetime, you will not have more than 500,000 vectorial documents. Then you can keep PostgreSQL alone. It will do a fantastic job. Now, when we have big clients or when we're working with corporate clients and they may want to have between 1 and 10 million vectors saved in the database, we still can handle it with PostgreSQL and pgvector, but it will start to be slow. But if we start to use Quadrant, so Quadrant is the partnership that we had recently, guys, I announced it. We've been accepted into their startup program. So Quadrant is a vectorial database that is also self-hosted and free and open source. That's where we switched to Quadrant, because Quadrant is a database that is designed for vectorial data. So not only you can query the data fast or very fast, but also it's specifically designed for that, and it can take more than 10 million vectors. In one single database, we can host 50 million vectors, even maybe with the right setup, 100 million vectors, which means you can do very large businesses. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to stop using PostgreSQL. And that's what I wanted to bring to your attention, guys, because we propose to get the best of the two worlds. As we go in the corporate data world, you want to keep the current normative table-based data that every system has been built upon, whether they use Oracle or SQL Server. We're all using this, what is called normative data, tables with fields. We can't get rid of it, but then we want to adopt the best way possible the vectorial world. And the vectorial databases, they don't have the normative side of it. So you can't just use Quadrant alone to manage a business. So that's why we bring both together and we get best of both worlds. We keep PostgreSQL for all the metadata, the users, the documents, all the classic tables and storage of data. And then we can create another server or we install Quadrant on another instance. And then we will link Quadrant and PostgreSQL via API to our front end or back end interface so that we can query both at the same time. We can query semantic data to the vectorial database, and we can query normative data like a date, like a name of someone, a keyword into the metadata of PostgreSQL. And then we can join the results using our backend or middleware or RTILA actually. RTILA can also like send two queries, bring them and then put them together and give us an answer. But usually we do this on the front end or the back end. And to give you a better idea on how this works, this is just like a small schema, is that once we have our front end or back end at the top, where the user is going to want to talk to the two types of databases, and the user, they may not even know that we are actually having two databases, one for the vectorial side and one for the metadata. They just want to talk naturally to our app. So when they do that, we actually have a custom middleware, our backend or our middleware software. It will split and it will send the queries to the two databases, and then we combine it and then we give a unified response to our customer or our user. And this we can do it in our structure without the end user knowing that we are doing this, and it provides a huge amount of value. So for example, Ryan, somebody comes onto your website, they actually don't know that the data, the answers they will get from your system, they don't know that actually it comes from an AI that has found the data in a non-text format, in a video, in an image, or in a sound file, because it was able to understand the vectorial semantics inside. They're just happy to get that information. So that gives us really a lot of power, and it's a very powerful engine under the hood, I think, as we say in the US. It's a Mustang V7, V8 or something.
Yes, quick question on that.
Sure.
That seems like a really powerful setup. does that require splitting it out like that? Does that require a data migration from the Postgres database prior?
No, that's the nice thing is that we can start with PostgreSQL alone. We put the first vectorial data in PostgreSQL. No need to bother yourself to install Quadrant, at least at the beginning. So you keep your tech stack as simple as possible, as minimal as possible. Once you really reach like 100,000 of vectors, that means that your business is already benefiting from vectorial data just with PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is quite fast when you have less than 500,000 vectors, so people will not notice the difference. So you have to just plan it and measure the size of your the number of your vector data. When you reach into the hundreds, then you set up Quadrant, and then all you have to do is, it's not as complicated as migrating normative data from one system to another. Vectorial data, because it doesn't have metadata, so you can just throw them almost like that. The AI will kind of find them. What you need to transfer is the index. So we will cover that. The indexing will have to be transferred. But the migration should not be that complicated. And because we have a hybrid system, we can even find a way to reference the vectorial location in the vectorial database back into PostgreSQL and kind of create some kind of bridging index. And so, like for example, you could keep the small vectorial data in PostgreSQL. You remember, Ryan, we covered the two formats, the 1569 that OpenAI uses, and then the big one that Llama 3 and DeepSeek they use, the 4096 vector size. So you can keep the small vector size on PostgreSQL and the large vector size, high resolution, inside Quadrant, for example. But we will come to it. It should not be a big problem. Now, if you think that within the next couple of months, if you think that your business model relies on semantic vectorial data from day one, and you're going to use that immediately, then we set up Quadrant from day one. And we put all the vectorial data in there. So it depends on the business model of the customer. Now Quadrant takes some knowledge and takes some setup, so you may add a bit of cost in terms of taking a new server or increasing your CPU, RAM, and capacity, but it remains quite efficient. The most important thing I think here, Ryan and team, is that everything that we're talking about right now, once you learn how to use it, there is no variable cost, there is no licensing fee, and there is no vendor lock. We remain, us and our vectorial data and our normative data, we remain completely free, and we remain the owners of our own data. So if, let's say, one day you don't like Quadrant anymore, you want to go with Weaviate, which is kind of the same but a bit more costly, then you can just move your vectors there as well. So you own your own data. Just to give you an idea, when you vectorize, let's say, a page, a PDF or an image into a vectorial file or equivalent of a file, it takes between 10 megabytes and 50 megabytes of disk space, just to give you an idea. It's almost like, it's much bigger than images because there's so much data in that binary. So that's why I was saying it may increase a little bit the cost of disk and storage, but then it provides us with so much more semantics. Any data, anything that you want to know more in details about our vectorial and JSONB capacity that we are proposing with this setup? I think we have all lived our life without JSONB and without vectorial data. So it may seem an overkill, but I believe that by the end of this year, the trend is going to pick up, and a lot of ERP systems and CRMs, they're going to also want to leverage vectorial data, and then it's going to become a norm. So if we all set up our intellectual readiness, capacity, and knowledge and infrastructure for vectorial data, maybe we will be 6 months ahead or a year ahead, we don't know. But for me, I find it very useful immediately, like even right now. It's already very useful for us. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Yes, so after that we will do a summary of a data track. But so far so good. Vectorial data, JSONB. Eli, you don't have any. So maybe I can bring a point because. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I've got a quick question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
On this screen, you've got the middleware.
Yes.
Is there a speed concern in terms of like Directus API capabilities and swapping that out for fast API, or it's just API talking to API and there's not really a speed consideration with the higher volume of I assume that's higher number of packets and
Yeah, it's a good question. So the good thing here is that you can process this middleware in what we call on the server side. So Node.js, for example, will run on server side, not on browser side or client side. So usually we have much more power and it's very fast to be processed. And then we just use the API for communications. So normally the work of the middleware should not impede the overall system. Of course, there are some configuration aspects, and our developers, they will know better. But on our side, we especially when we use RTILA. So I was saying that RTILA can be the middleware. The reason why I'm saying this is because RTILA is able to call and use Node.js packages that are on your local computer. So Ryan, on your, that computer we talked about where you will have your own AI, the AI model. So on that computer, we will also install Node.js and RTILA. So RTILA can take the data from a front end, process it through Node.js, and then send it to the API of Directus for your system to deal with it, and then Directus ships the answer to the front end. So it's not ideal to use RTILA, but you can use RTILA for like testing, development, and so on. And after that, once it works, you can just transfer the whole JavaScript Node.js code base into a middleware on your server, and it will be very fast. It should be very fast. And this is not GPU intensive, this is CPU and RAM intensive. So we just need a bit more CPU and a bit more RAM. We will cover more and more as we go, but also we will have like, maybe in our program, you will learn about this from doing. This is just like basic theory, but as we are doing and we are business people and we are just thinking, I want the semantic, I want the sorting, I want the filtering of my data. I just need to know what system I need to use to achieve that. That's a little bit what we want to achieve together. So I hope this makes sense. And as I said, we will, from now on, we will start to be more and more practical. And if there is no other question, maybe I can just do, we can just do together a summary of what we did in the data track. And happy to take your questions and answers about the data track. I think Ryan and Eric, you've been exposed to the data track yourself through the schema and so on. But I think what we have done so far was really about data structure and data schema. And now we will jump into data scraping. So some of you have started scraping data. So that's where we are. And if you have questions about maybe the type of data that you are planning to scrape, the formats or the challenges, maybe we can address them. And also it can feed into our program so that we can cover those points. I'll just throw at you some ideas and questions on what kind of data we may need to scrap. It's not only the web data. We can also get data from APIs. We can get data from PDFs. We can get data from JPEG files, from sound files, videos. There are so many sources of data. Even like you can get data from live camera feeds or live sensors, IoT. So depending on where you guys are seeing your applications going, we can also make sure that we cover that kind of data that you guys are dealing with. And I think that's what you were saying, Eric, with the telemetric data, with the trucks and so on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I've been exposed to that, like, was 20 years ago when that first started being a thing, that you could track where your employee is with the car and stuff like that. And that's pretty big now, and almost standard. Like in any car that you have, there's a tracking device, and you have a push button on the ceiling. Ceiling, it's not the English word, but you know, the roof, with an SOS button or something like that, and they have your location, they have the connection and stuff like that. And all these telemetry data, you can get into that yourself and use them. But you know, that's very, very niche. That's so far from, I think, what we all want to do.
Yeah, but maybe some of our clients will have telemetry or IoT data that they may want to incorporate into their ERP or their CRM or something.
I mean, the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The question is just, how do you get your foot in the door?
Yeah.
With the companies, you know, everyone can say he's an expert in something, but you know, without kind of proof or, I don't know, a name to yourself, it will be hard.
Yeah, definitely. But that's why also maybe with our own instances of PostgreSQL and directors and showing them that we are dealing with millions of data rows and that we transform the data, we give it meaning. That I think it's kind of demonstrating capacity by your own data and your own system. And you're right, we may not have all the credentials like I don't know, like a big consulting company. So we can use practical results.
I must admit, I sat here, I was very silent because it blows me away that we're able in the open source area to be able to have this technology that we can use, and open source has just matured that we can use pretty much anything. We don't really need to go into the realm of commercial for anything like this.
I was also a bit shocked, you know, because when I was doing this research here, I looked again. I said, no, come on, SQL Server and Oracle. No, that can't be. So it's worse. It's even worse, Eli. Is that if you stay with these guys, you're going backwards.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But then in the mind of a lot of CEOs and executives, they still think in that dogma or in that framework, it doesn't move. And they don't see what they could be missing up. Yeah.
I mean, I totally understand. They just don't want change. They don't want to break anything. That's what it comes down to. They've got the responsibility of this huge amount of data, and they don't want to break it. And it's for us to actually convince them and to show a comparison, probably comparison the best we can, to convert them. And it's the only way you're going to do it is somehow compare. Maybe have a comparison on the computer, on the laptop or whatever when we go and see them, and show a comparison of them actually running the two different types of database to show proof. Yeah,
and also there is a sensitive point that you highlighted. I want to jump on it, and then Alan has a question. Is that we don't need to convert them or transfer them or migrate them. We can actually tell them we understand where you come from. We understand your routines, your security and all the things that they built around those databases. But we can tell them, look, don't miss on the JSONB and the vectorial data, because maybe for now all your data makes sense, but don't you want to know more about your customer? Don't you want to know more about your predicting your stocks, predicting whatever from your own data? Don't you want to have that extra layer of analytics and understanding for decision making? So when you bring it in that way, they say, oh yeah, for decision making, to increase my profit, reduce my expenses, recognize problems that we don't see from the text data. And then you tell them, we don't need to replace. We can put an abstracted layer, a PostgreSQL database on top that can pull the normative data from the Oracle or SQL Server. We bring it to PostgreSQL. We bring in PostgreSQL the vectorial data, JSONB. We do the work. We extract the semantic. We put it back as text in your legacy data. I mean, we can't tell them legacy because it's a bit, might be a bit pejorative, but, and then we put it back for you in your normative databases, so you don't change your system. Suddenly now you have new semantic data that was crunched at an abstracted level of database. Then we don't disturb their structure. That's one way, if it makes sense.
Adele, I think he's got a question, as you said.
Yeah, Alan. Yeah, Alan, you want to come up?
Yes. First of all, greetings, everyone. I've been part of this community for a few months now. I've been in the background because I have a regular, what we call in the States, a W-2 that kind of prevents me from, being active as I'd like to be. However, my query was basically to you, Mohammed. I just wanted to ask if in the event that throughout your travels and your studies and your interactions with this type of database and information and architectural infrastructure, however you want to phrase it, are there any case studies that we might be able to sponge off you to utilize? Someone just brought up a very important point, as we're all entrepreneurs trying to shake this money tree. I'm so excited about the possibilities, but to his point, we do need some assistance in the way of case studies, if you will,
Yes,
that we all could collectively use. And I know that you've had some good experiences, either you or your co-workers or whomever you work with. I was going to suggest that we start, if it's possible, and it's something that you have available that we can kind of pull from and use and kind of package. Go ahead, I'm gonna let you speak. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point, Alan. So I can only answer maybe half. So we have few use cases, practical use cases we had here, but they're not about vectorial data. We have a little bit about JSONB, but we had more. No, sorry. It was vectorial data, but we didn't store it. So I should rephrase it. So we used Llama 3.2 many times, analyzing images and analyzing PDF documents for how you call it, bank reconciliation in English, because it was very hard for the humans to take bank statements and then their purchase orders and so on and link them. And sometimes there were like small differences in like a few cents of a dollar, a different date, a different payer. So there we actually vectorized on the fly. We vectorized the PDF statements and we matched them to what came from their database. So that, I think we can present it as a use case, but it's not a full use case of vectorizing the data and storing it as a vector in the database. That we have only done it with our team as experimental. So we don't have a full vectorial use case. We have maybe a hybrid.
I was just going to suggest that even that, and in as much of it was, and it came out as effectual, it can be surmised in the context of the use case.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
because we're basically we just need results. Is what the customers want. They just want to pay for some results, and if we can tell them, well, hey, here's somewhere where we got some clear results.
Yeah, you're right.
If we can do it for us, guess what we can do for you? And here's how this works. And then what we can do is transfer that to their particular use cases and what they're trying to do.
Indeed.
And then get some steam off of that. That's just my own thing.
No, definitely. This request came a couple of times. So we're working on 3 use cases. And I think maybe 2 of them relate to this JSONB and vectorial data. And those 3 use cases, we got the approval for most of them from the companies that we served to also say their name. So we will share that with you guys, like a common portfolio that they use AI automation program and they got X result. So we will share with you as we go.
Thanks, Mo. You're a good guy.
You're welcome. But also, let's build some of our own use cases. And I think in the next, so I would say, Alan, especially especially you, Ryan, and Eric as well. And we have another couple of agents. I think we're going to have a lot of vectorial and JSONB use cases coming up in the next 1 month or two. And yourself, Alan, I think you will have a very nice use case, a live one.
For sure.
Yeah, because I would say in 2 or 3 weeks, we will be able to start working on JSONB and vectorial data on your own project, Alan.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it would be very nice. Yes. But thank you. Yeah, it's very important. And also, maybe I can throw back the question at you, Alan, and the community. Since we're kind of a big team, a big family, and we're using the same frameworks and the same methodology and so on. So also, when you guys have a success, a story, maybe we can pull it together, anonymize it, or get authorization. So whenever, maybe when you guys present your services, if you can announce to that customer that we are together as a community called AI Automation Agency, then we can claim that this was done by our network, which is true.
That's well said. Actually, that's a great idea. That's great.
And maybe in that way we get 50 or a couple of dozens of use cases by the end of the year, and I hope you guys even more. Ryan, I think Ryan in a couple of months will provide us with a very nice new tool. Working hard right now on it.
I sure hope so.
Yes. Thank you, Alan. So I think that was for the data track, but if there is anything that I missed, you please don't be shy. And then there was the cost track. So the cost track, we didn't do much. We did 2 videos. We have 2 videos now. If you go back to our channel, we have the first video with Zach, and then we have the second video we did last week. I think if you guys saw, we published it a bit late. So if you can go through it, but just like we had a call with Kyle. I don't know if Kyle, if you're connected. Yeah, Kyle. Hello, Kyle. The conclusion was that let's go and find a client, because we want to fail and fail fast and learn and adapt the cost track, because the cost track is about doing this audit of that company, understanding their needs, and then providing them with some quick wins in terms of AI automation, replacement or bots or something that can enhance their business. And I think the best learning is really like, and we are here to back you up when you have a first client. So you can call upon us, I can come in, somebody from more technical than me can come in your first meetings with your first client. And that's what I encourage, is like, go ahead, go find the first client, even if you don't understand 100%, but you know, you have our tech stack wizard or the file, you got the point, what we're looking for, you understand the value chain of the data that we covered together, you're plenty ready, because you don't realize, but with this little bit of knowledge that we share among ourselves, if you go out and you take 100 companies and you tell them, do you use JSONB vectorial data? Are you aware what you can do with your data? I think 99% will say no. They have not been exposed to this. They have been exposed to chatbots, AI chatbots, AI this, AI that, but never to the core structure of the data. Very rarely they are exposed to the core structure. And because they are with a vendor that doesn't support vectorial data and doesn't support JSONB, they never get offered an upgrade towards these technologies. So if they're with Oracle, there are very small chances that they will hear about this, because Oracle doesn't have it natively. So I just want you to be aware of that situation, which is, I think, to us, when we are doing this cost analysis, we already know a little bit more than our customer, and that's already enough to engage. And then you can rely on us as a community when you need somebody more technical, more maybe business advisor, maybe more financial, maybe more coaching, human training. Every one of us has a profile in the community we can pull from any one of us. So that's what I wanted to tell about this cost track. And I think the next step is we will look at once you do the tech stack analysis, how do you come up with the quick wins, and how do you compare solutions to propose them to the customer. That will be our next step with this track. But please, guys, if you have any question, answer, curiosity, requests, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, just jumping in to say, yeah, thank you for that. I think it'll be, yeah, good information, and yeah, I'll definitely, it's a definitely good idea what you're saying.
Yes, Kyle, and yeah, please jump into how you call it, that first action or that first opportunity. We're with you.
Yeah, thank you for sure. I'll do that.
Anyone is in Seattle in the group? I don't know if we have people in Seattle, but Kyle is in Vancouver. So those who are in the very western tip of the North American continent, Kyle is there. And so that was 4.5, but we still have a bit of time, I think. So today it looks like we're starting to be on time, Eli. Or less late.
Miracles do happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, do you know what? It just blows me away where we're at, to be honest, because there's a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
And it just amazes me, like I said, with the open source fact, but also with the community, with what you just said, you know, we're all experts, and I had to learn this myself. An expert doesn't mean that you're the best in the industry. Expert means that you know better or more than the person that you're actually going to go before. Yeah. So as long as you remember that you have that little better information than the person you're going before, you are the expert. I think what it is, and I did also, I got caught up with the word expert being you are the best in the industry. No.
Yes.
Expert just means you know more than the person you're actually going before, or you're teaching, or you're speaking with. And I think we've got to remember that, because some of us hold fear. Can I really do this? I mean, this is a new technology. This is cutting edge. How can I come before somebody and say A, B, and C? And that's understandable, right? But the point is that this is all new and fresh, and most people do not know how to implement it anyway. So as long as you know more than the next person, you are the expert.
No, exactly. And thank you, Eli, for highlighting that. Actually, somebody from the community told me this. I think it was Zach. At the beginning, before we launched the project, I was personally hesitating. I thought we need to gain 1 year advanced knowledge before we share it. So, you know, I was trapped like you. Like, we have to be super advanced. And then actually he told me, no, Mohammed, if you're just 3 months ahead, people will appreciate that 3 months notice or early adoption. So, and that's a little bit what I force myself to say, like, hey, when we discover something, even though it's just still recent, but we've done that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of research and understanding, we can now just compress it and bring it to that customer or to the community. So you're right. You guys can apply the same thing that we did even to launch this program.
Yeah, and at the same time, taking that on board, where we're weak on certain things, as Mohammed said, you know, he's willing to jump on the call or get someone else to jump on it, or any one of us, you know, somebody could be great who sells, but not technically. The other person's great technically, but it's better on sales. Let's leverage that, just like Mohammed is saying again, when you get a job come in or whatever, we share that knowledge and we can use it as a community. But by leveraging each other's strengths and going forward together and saying, hey, could you help me out because I'm really weak on this, I've got a business call, I've got this, can you jump on for 30 minutes? If we're all willing to do our bit to help us get a start, then it's not so daunting, it's not so overwhelming, you know.
No, definitely.
No need to be overwhelmed. I think we just help each other and use each other's skills and know that we're there to help.
And by the way, just to advertise that we launched the RTILA.com/community. Even myself, I didn't put too much content, but you guys please throw in things and get in touch with each other. Like you said, Eli, anybody can help anyone. And also maybe I can bring another point, Kim, if you're here, guys, don't hesitate to catch up to us, because especially for master agents, we need to finish setting up your own VPS with directors and PostgreSQL, and put the vectorial data and put the JSONB, because we want you guys to have, all of you, your own instance of all this technology that we talk about, because then you can go to a customer with your laptop and say, I'm not talking about something that is just on a PowerPoint slide. Here it is. Look at how it works. Look at this data is incomprehensible for you when we look at it with the human mind. And look, I'm going to do a query now. And out of this binary data, I get the weather or what the people are doing in that content. And I think that, when you manifest these kind of technologies that are very abstract on a laptop in front of a client, I saw that the client, they start to say, oh, then it's possible for me as well. So even if it's like just a small demo, I encourage you guys to, all of you have your own setup. So Kim, please reach out to get your VPS and database. So whoever that didn't get their own system, please reach out to us. We can accelerate that.
Hey, Mohammed. Yeah, just letting you know, I am here, and I will reach out. I'll send an email.
Superb. Superb. Don't be shy.
Come on.
Am I due for mine yet, Mohammed?
Yours is already in process, Alan, because we start to have the data, so we moved on it immediately.
Excellent. So listen, I wanted to also let you all know, I want to kind of buttress the comments made by Eli about 10 minutes ago about, being the expert in the room. You are the expert in the room, because the adoption is nowhere near even half, and we've got so many communities and business people out there who just dying for this information. And that's why I'm so amazed. And I don't speak a lot because I'm busy learning. This stuff is fresh off the cuff. And I come from a different community where I actually was getting certified to be an AI assisted entrepreneur, is the term that they gave us. And I wasn't happy just selling and then turning the clients over. So when I heard about Mohammed and what he's doing over here, I said, let me peek on this other side. So a couple of months ago, I started looking, well, more than a couple of months ago, I started looking at this community and seeing that you all were actually getting into the ground nitty gritty, where the data lies and how you enrich the data, and then you turned it into signals, into other enriched forms that businesses actually are craving. They're craving this stuff. I mean, we have whole industries that they don't know where to go. They're waiting for us to tell them.
No, you're right. I think some of them, they don't even know it's possible. So when we tell them and we show them, it's almost like a client, how you call it in English, is a warm lead, or a lead that was waiting for you.
Yep, warm lead, that's it.
Yeah.
Ready to go. They're all hot and just ready for you to put the butter on them.
Yes. That's a nice figure.
Hot out the oven.
And I think in America is peanut butter.
Yeah, I was using the issue of buns coming out of the oven, freshly made bread, hot bread.
Yes. Oh, yes. We do that also in Europe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Alan. I think that's a very positive note. And thank you for being with us and following for a while already. That's very encouraging. And let's see if we have somebody here. Yeah, I think everybody said hello. Eli, do you see any questions? I look at the chat. Now, the last question was from Ryan. Yeah, looks like we covered everything. Maybe we want to free you guys and free ourselves for our next tasks. Happy to take any last minute question. But otherwise, I want to wish you guys a very good afternoon, evening, or early morning. And let's gear up. And like you said, Alan, let's gear up and put our hands into the actual data and our database that we are setting up. so that all this knowledge that we've been talking about, we kind of walk the talk, if I can say it in that way. And Eli, please, let's do yours as well. We've been a bit delaying, so let's set that up, and that will be the shining database in London.
Definitely.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. But it's your fault. I mean, both you and Alan talking about food. I'm now starving.
Yes, it's like how you call it in English. The guy who make who repair the shoes. His shoes are the worst.
Yeah, it's definitely mine.
The
That's
shoemaker.
right. We often have that analogy with people who do lawn services. I'm in the South, so the saying is that their grass is always in the worst shape because they're always taking care of everybody else's.
Yeah, that's right. We have the same. Like even today, I wanted to test on a database, and then I realized, damn, I don't have a database just for me. So I need to set one up for me as well.
We have a saying in the UK. It's a situation is that a mechanic's very good at fixing other people's car, but never fixes his own.
That's exactly the same. I think probably in every industry, you're busy with the others people things to get them to work, and yours you just leave it. So we can catch up on that because we have also to be kind of the model and show them a functional car before we can repair theirs.
Totally.
Eli,
Anybody else got any
yeah.
other questions at all? Is everybody happy with it? Or anybody's got any questions with something they're doing for the next week and they want to make sure they're prepared for what they're going to do? Anything at all?
I can just mention that I started yesterday to scrape kindergartens for Fetterling, our company. And so I got 1,800 URLs to scrape from Google Maps, and I scraped them, and I got 227,000 results within 14 hours.
Wait,
But-
say again, 200 then?
27,000.
Did you did you burn again
But-
Google Maps?
No. For some reason, no. But I made a mistake. The results URL that was needed had the inner. It didn't have the link highlighted, so I scraped that many files or that many URLs, and I don't have the results URL, so I have to redo it. But
Hey, that's cool. That's cool. You're getting into the 100,000s of rows. I think that's where these kind of businesses that we do, they start to build up value like in an accelerated way. Like you will see when you reach a million data rows in your database, even if you have nonsense in the database, the fact that you have a million of it has value.
yeah.
Because you can
So
pull
very
statistics.
excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. That's super cool. Google Map is an amazing open database ready for us to go through it.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah,
fantastic. Congratulations on that. And please, I think we have to do some catch up as well, Eric.
Oh yeah,
We'll be
we can
on
do
it.
that whenever you have the time. I'm ready.
Yes, next week I think it's good.
Perfect. All right.
Superb. So Eli, I think if that's where we are and we have covered all the points, shall we?
Hey,
yeah,
Mohammed?
somebody? Yes, Alan, please.
One last thing. I misplaced your booking link and your WhatsApp link.
Yeah, I'll send you that after the meeting.
I appreciate you, sir.
Sure, pleasure.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Or maybe you can promote the community on school so they move over.
Oh, I forgot that part. Yes. Thanks, Eric. I will post something over there. But the
missing.
community, we don't want to move the free community to RTILA.com. Just the AIA program, just the how you call it, the paid AIA program, so that those resources they stay between us.
But maybe you can make it more interesting in school to be a paid
Definitely.
member.
Yeah, I think you can help us with building the funnel.
Oh, that would be great.
Yes.
So the community you were talking about, is it going to still be hosted in the school, or is it being hosted elsewhere? So
the free public knowledge, I think, will remain on school. And the good thing is that school sends us some traffic. That's why we're staying there. And it's very easy to use. But when it becomes like, let's say, level 2 of the knowledge with hands-on and sharing templates and resources, then we move that knowledge and those resources to rtila.com/community, where only the people who have access to the program will have access to that section. So we will be sending an email about that. And if you guys have questions, please don't hesitate. I'm hearing my daughter speaking, so I think I'm getting into my time out over here. Guys, if we are good, Eli, the last wordings for you.
Well, how wonderful that the whole team is together as always, and it just blows me away. Like I said, with the technology, as much as I've been in tech for so many years, but more importantly, just the community, just being able to help each other is just amazing, and that's what partially keeps me here, to be honest. And just thank you, all of you, for being here, and I just look forward to actually getting into the community and actually interacting with each other on a daily basis, and it's a long time coming. So
yeah, and by the way, let's do podcasts with each other. So with Eli, we did two.
Talking.
Yeah. Let's. There's so many subjects in life, so maybe this community is just like the first bridge, and then we discover many other relationships that we can have.
Eli, we have to catch up.
Yeah, I was thinking about you actually.
Well, we already had a date, and then
Excellent.
we messed up.
It's okay.
I messed up.
It's all right. It's no
But
problem.
we have to find our time again.
We'll do something next week, because I'm
That's great.
gonna push. Let's do something. I'll contact you.
I'm in.
But yeah, but I'm not. No, let's be more of. Now I'm glad that you're going to put us over, Mohammed, to the community, and then we can be a bit more active on a permanent basis.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, well, Mohammed's daughter's coming, so
yes.
You guys have a good night. Thank you very much for your efforts.
I got a dinner, so.
Yeah.
Food.
You enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
That was nice of her. Oh, you're so wonderful. You're very lucky.
Yes, we are lucky, and I appreciate that. Definitely.
Everybody, sayonara. Thank you.
Yes. Goodbye, everyone. Take care for now.